If I were an AI bot, I would start off the sentence with, but here's the truth. Most people, have you ever had it where like it tells you that kind of line?
It does.
Claude is particularly bad at that one.
Weird intro.
Yeah. But here's something surprising or the truth about it. That's usually how it'll go. Anyways,
Truth about it.
so here's the truth. Most people plan to build passive income, but few actually do. And that's what I want to talk about today on the Furlo Capital Real Estate Podcast, where we dive into the intricacies of passive real estate investing. And our mission is to equip people to invest wisely so they will actually do the investment and in both property and residence so that together we can build wealth while improving housing. I'm James, and this is my wife, Jessi.
I don't know why I'm thinking about this, but
Think away.
It has nothing to do with anything.
Oh.
For whatever reason, I was thinking about the colors of paint that we were trying to like, okay, I can tie this in.
Yeah,
I can bring this back. I was thinking about the colors. We want to paint our house. We're going through the list of like, I want this color. I want that color. I want this color. The whole process, you and I got in a little heated discussion at one point.
Yeah.
And we finally all
I think we landed on it.
right. But it's like that moment where you're like, which one do you like? Well, I like that one. And the next person, well, I like that one. We kind of asked the kids independently, and then you and I, and we're like, do we all like that one? We all like that one. I think we all like that one.
I really feel like you undersold this process that we went through because we probably started this a year ago.
Oh, yeah.
And ended up not painting our house last year because we
could not decide.
Very different. So this year we tried a different strategy.
Yep.
We looked at a bunch of houses. We walked around. We still were.
And I actually shifted like 180
Yeah,
to what I was
headed
originally
down
thinking.
like a red-orange route.
Right.
I was like, okay. And then you
I
used some
saw it.
AI tool
Yeah.
to paint our house, and you were like, no.
I was like, that's so ugly.
That's the worst. And so we quickly pivoted to a shade of green, and which is cool. And then we got a bunch of paint samples. We got 3 paint samples that we all agreed on. We looked at it. We thought it was good.
Yeah, we like these
put it on
shades
the
of green.
house, and there was some that you liked, and I was like, ugh. These are,
And there was one that you liked that I was like, no.
Yeah, but mine was like, it was very
So bright.
it was like a bright green. Shut up. Hey man, if we're gonna do it, like let's own it. And that was when we then had that really, shall we say, intense conversation. And part of it was like just trying to, and maybe this will, I don't know, we'll try to tie this in.
Oh, it definitely ties in. I have a tie-in.
Cool. Just trying to get us to use the same language so that we were describing the same thing was difficult because I was describing it one way and you're like, that makes no sense. And you would say it another way. And I'd be like, yeah, that's what I just said.
Yeah, you were describing it very analytically. I was describing it very artistically. And it was just like, this is not computing.
It wasn't good. Ultimately, what we ended up doing is we went back and we grabbed those paint chips. We put the kids down to sleep. We went back to Home Depot last night and we're like, okay, we know like it's somewhere in between these two is probably okay. And we just we held them up. We went through. We came back home with 2 of them. And honestly, both of them were good. And
yeah, we were okay with either.
But there was one that was slightly, that we all liked a little bit more.
Yeah. Yep.
And so I think we're ready to move on.
We did it.
To the
But
next
here's my
phase.
tie-in.
Do it.
I think people don't get to the point of passively investing because it's hard. Like there's this process that you have to go through.
Yeah.
And
there's a learning curve at the beginning.
Right. And it's like, even you were like, we had to delay painting our house, because it's like, we have to get to this agreement. There's this understanding. There's this process you have to walk through, which for some people is like, that's super intimidating. I can't deal with it. I'm not even going to do it. And I get it.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's plenty of people who are like, I'm going to hire some designer. They're going to pick a great color and they're going to do the whole process for me. So I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah. And I mean, even for us, it's like, okay, yeah, it took us a while to find a color. And now the real work gets to start.
And now I start power washing.
Which I think, was it Samson? Who was like, so are we painting tonight?
Right? He was like, I started putting the swatches on to see them. And he was like, yes, we're going to paint the house tonight. I was like, yeah, about that. We have
there's a thing called
weeks
prep
of prep.
work. Oh, man.
The painting is like a tiny little sliver
Yeah.
of this whole process.
Yeah.
That's all right.
It is. I don't know how to tie this in, but yeah, no, it is one of those where it can be intimidating up front, but it's important to do to keep up the value of your house. And in the same way, I think learning how to invest passively and actually doing it is also important for a couple of reasons. Number one, your labor, what you can earn per hour, that has a ceiling. No, I get it. There's some people out there with like, they're basketball players or whatever, and they've got...
They're the outliers.
They've got really good skills, and even then there's still a cap, but,
For
whatever.
the average person.
And so the earned money is what you get when you're awake, whereas the passive money is your capital going to work while you're asleep or doing other stuff. And so it has a lot less of a ceiling to it. It can kind of keep going. And it's just good to diversify where your money comes from. Sure. But there are reasons why people don't do it, and I have 6 of them that I want to talk about. So the first one is all around mindset. And one of them is, it takes money to make money, right? Which is true, but also not the whole story. And that's because a lot of people, they usually start first with sweat equity, not actual capital, like the house hacking, or they're doing some sort of like seller carry notes, or they're running a syndication, whatever. Like there's ways to get into it. And then, so the fallacy is people believe that capital is the only way to get started.
And you have to have a decent chunk.
Correct. And that's not totally true. And again, like there may be it may not be 100% passive when you first get started, but you can build those muscles. And other ones like creative finance is huge and versus just like conventional financing. So,
yeah, that's an interesting idea because you don't have to have a ton of money. Yeah. But you do have to have a little bit of know-how in how to structure.
Or you lock yourself in and say, I have to be an accredited investor. So therefore I need to have the income or the net worth. So I got to have the money before I can get in. And it's like, well,
but you don't.
I mean, yes, but also no. So I think that's the first reason why people don't get involved. The second one is around behavior. And that is because they don't have the money. They're busy spending it. Oh, Dave Ramsey would be not happy with that one. So it's earned, but they never allocate anything for investing. It just goes right into their lifestyle.
Sure.
And there's a lot of people out there who I think, I don't know, you would describe them as well-educated. They've read the books, they've done the studying, they get it, but they just don't actually accumulate enough to ever pull that trigger. And so you just gotta take a break from all that spending.
Well, like you're saying, behavior does have to shift, because like you were also saying, your income isn't just this ever increasing amount of money. So as a lifestyle costs increase, as choices change, as you have kids or whatever else, you have to actually adjust to set aside a portion of money that is going towards investing, which means inevitably you're not doing something else with that money. Yeah. So I get that. That's hard.
Yeah. Which you and I were great at when we first got married. We didn't have any kids. There was one year where we saved 70% of our income. We're like, cool. So we were able to do a lot with that and make some rapid progress, which was really cool.
But it was also, we gave up living in a super nice place.
Yeah.
Or,
that's true. Oh, yeah, we did.
Yeah.
We didn't take
traveling
crazy
a whole
vacations.
bunch. Yeah.
We didn't have super nice cars.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's very easy, I think, for people to just go, well, I want a nice house and I want a nice car. And now I have a job and I have plenty of money to do it.
Yep.
It's like, well, you don't have to do that. You can shift.
Yeah, totally. 100%. Yes.
I agree.
You're right. Reason number 3, this one's structural. Just schools and systems. They train workers, not owners, not business owners.
That's true. That was wrapped up in kind of what I was trying to say, but I didn't say it well.
So try again.
It's kind of like, that the system dictates that you get educated, you get a job, you spend your money.
That rat race, treadmill, hedonic treadmill.
The American dream or whatever it is. And it's like, no, you don't have to do it that way. You don't have to go to a super high-end college, get into debt, and then get a high-paying job so you can pay off your debt, and then get a house, and then have to pay that out. You don't have to do it that way. It's a mindset. But the systems are set up to kind of lead people that direction.
Yeah, 100%. And similar systems that led you to get your 401k through your employer and to put all your investments through that.
Yep.
As opposed to diversifying in other ways.
Sure.
If you got a match, 100% go for it. I get it. But they're often not the best investments.
Way, sure.
That is something.
Yeah.
And a lot of the financial products that are out there are designed for the bank's benefit, not necessarily for yours. And heck, the tax code itself, it rewards capital, but no one really teaches that.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, there's just a lot of structural things that say, man, yeah, go this way because it's good for you, not great for you.
Yeah.
But it is good for the institutions who have put together those systems.
Let's be honest, too. Like, comfort is nice. And so, like,
of course.
You know, if you put two, I just think of like kid psychology. If you put two great things in front of them, or like something great and something stinky, like obviously they're choosing the great one. And so it's like, as those choices.
Well, and this is slightly different. That comes back to the second point. I think this third one is more of, you have these two choices, and one of them they're constantly they're defaulting. They choose this one.
They're pushing it forward.
And it's easier to grab the one that's closest as opposed to saying, no, I'm actually going to do the one that's a little bit further away because there's 2 marshmallows on that plate instead of the one.
Sure.
Like that's
I could see that.
They're pushing, and marshmallow's good.
Yeah.
You like it, but you could have had 2 by going outside the normal track.
Yeah, working a little bit hard.
Keep that analogy going for a bit.
Yeah.
So reason number 4 is there's just knowledge gaps. They just don't know. They don't even know this exists. Like they're not listening to podcasts like this.
Yep.
And so they're just totally unaware of it.
Right.
And a lot of it is because of the way the structures are set up. Like it's not the easiest thing to just tell everyone, hey, this is an option. You know, if you were to talk about what's earned income versus portfolio versus passive income, man, most people, like, they can't describe all of them. They don't know about syndications or doing notes. But they may not even know about dividend stocks, right? That was something last week, 2 weeks ago, that you were asking about. And so it's like, yeah, like you just don't know. Or they don't know about REITs. Again, the private lending is a huge one. They just don't know. So they can't, and even if they did know about them, they don't have the skills to evaluate the risk versus return on them. Because there's an education piece, which honestly, like, that's cool. Like that's all right.
Honestly, too, like as the average person, it doesn't really sound interesting to me to become educated on those things. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's fair.
I'm just like,
definitely
if I have a certain amount of hours in a day, like I'm not going to choose to learn about REITs and like loan structure. But if there was someone that I trusted who did know and was an expert on those things and could explain it to me in a way that was like, this is how this is working. You don't have to be an expert. You just need the basics. I'd be like, cool. Yep, this is great.
Yeah,
I would do that.
Yeah, no, that's fair. And that's what is.
But I get why
I try to do that.
Sure,
try to make it
I get why people would invest if that is a barrier or a hurdle.
Man, like it's like okay,
that's complicated.
I work for an employer. There's a form I fill out that automatically deducts money into a 401k.
Easy,
and I never have to think about it again. You know, which cool, awesome. Yeah. Be that investor. That's great. Get middling returns. Cool.
Yeah.
If you don't want to work for the rest of your life and have a better than average retirement, it's going to require some work on your end.
Yeah.
Do you need to become an expert? No, but you do need to learn a little bit more, I guess. And I think for most people, that's an okay trade-off. But, I get it. Like if you got kids or you're barely making it, no, don't worry about it. Reason number 5 is just fear.
Yeah. Loss,
aversion, or scam exposure, honestly.
Yep.
Maybe you've seen a parent or a friend lose money, or you yourself have lost money. I know those are things, right? That happens. Or they just I don't know, they lose money both ways. You lose it just legitimately through an investment, or it's some guru took your money, scammed you out of it, and you're like, no. And so anytime you have that kind of fear of it, it's just easier to do nothing. And so, which is just... So I get it, but there's also a cost of that inaction. And I'm okay if you're doing nothing. You just got to do it for the right reason, I guess. And I just think there's a lot of people where they're just like, I don't know. And they just don't do it, which is fine.
Which, I mean...
It's a reason why.
It is a reason why. And there is a level of risk that's higher than many other investments. And so it's like... It's good to know that, but I hear what you're saying. If it's just this blind fear of like, I don't know, that sounds scary.
Yeah,
and you don't do the due diligence of like, okay, well, how does this actually work, and would it make more sense, and how could I become comfortable with maybe learning more or trying
find
to
a guy with
trying
a track
to invest.
record.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I get it.
Good.
Not blind. No blind fear.
No blind fear. And reason number 6, which is kind of an overarching, it's kind of related to some of them we've had. It's just time and priority. Someday never comes.
Yep.
It's like, you're just busy, right? You got your job, you got your kids. That's kind of what we're talking about, the knowledge gap. You're like, I don't want to take the time to learn this. Yeah, that happens. Yeah. But I think you can run into that problem of, I do want to learn this. I am interested, but I got to do all these other things first. And you just never prioritize it. And so it never happens. So you never pull the trigger, even though you would like to. I've talked to a lot of people where they go, yeah, I am interested in real estate and investing in it and what this kind of looks like, but they just don't. They just don't do it, which is a bummer. And that's one where it's like, okay, like maybe we watch one less show and you do a little bit of reading and listen to this podcast, which you are right now. Yay. And so yeah, I think that's the fix for that one. So to be clear, oftentimes getting passive income, those are my 6 reasons. Oftentimes getting passive income isn't actually passive at first. And I think that's the hard part. It's either you are learning or you're doing some doing. There's a piece of it at the beginning, which is definitely not passive, which is what we're talking about. But if you can get over that hump, it very much becomes passive, just like the 401k and other stuff. And there's a little bit of maintenance that has to happen, but it becomes pretty straightforward. And I will say too, oftentimes our tax code and just a lot of systems that we have are actually set up to favor real estate in general, business ownership as well, like having capital.
It's harder at first, but it is more favorable.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. And so you can start small, do a little bit of things, make some progress, learn. It's good. Like you'll get there and you'll actually learn, and it's worth putting in that time and energy. So, so you go. Just reviewing my notes here to make sure I don't forget anything. So I guess my final question would be, thinking about those 6 reasons, your mindset, limiting mindset, really, your behavior, your lifestyle, not doing it, just the structural, knowing that you're in a system that pushes specific defaults, or just not knowing because you have that knowledge gap. You're afraid of something happening, or you're just like, yeah, someday I'll get to it. Of those 6, my question to you would be, which one do you fall into? What's your camp for potentially not taking action if you haven't yet? Or did you have one where you're like, I had to overcome this one and it took some time? Yeah. And I would be interested in the comments actually hearing about what you did to overtake it. So those are reasons why. So don't be that person. Instead, find whatever that hill is, that barrier, and just work through it. I think it's worth it. I really do. I'm biased, but I still think it's worth it. And so if you would like to start that process on learning more about it and what that looks like, you can start on our website at furlo.com. Then you can sign up to be part of our investor club. And in there, you'll get a set of emails that goes through a lot of that education piece that tells you a lot of the information. It just comes to you. It's super easy. And so you can start that learning process. So if you'd like to do that, check it out. Otherwise, thanks for listening. Have a great day.